What is going on, young One Piece world? It's your boy Shoge Kami here, and I'm here talking about One Piece chapter 11, 13. This chapter is titled Stalemate. I just wanted to say that at the time of me recording this, 11:14 has come out yet. I looked at the cover page and I realized I did not record. I actually talked about this with my friends in like a group chat we have, and I didn't actually record a video for it. So I'm going to quickly go over 11:13, and then subsequently there will be an 11:14 video that comes out probably a couple hours after this one, if not more than an hour, because I kind of do these videos quickly. So that's why this video is coming out late. I've just been sick, dealing with my own stuff and my own laziness and inability to come up with videos. But I've had tons of ideas, and we had that break, and I'm hearing that we have another break after 11:14, so there will be more time. But I promise you I'm going to be getting these videos out, and I just have a lot of ideas and stuff, and I just haven't been able to put those ideas into practice. But I'm really trying to do that better. So please rock with me. Please give me some grace. Follow the channel. Hit that subscribe button. Comment, like, do all the things if you want to support the videos. And here we go. So 11:13. It's called Stalemate. That's obviously referring to like the chapter of the. Basically, Vegapunk is holding the Gorosei at a stalemate. They thought that they had an upper hand getting to the transponder snail, but it was just a decoy. So first we can go over the cover page. We didn't get anything regarding Yamato, but in this cover page it's like all these chess pieces. So what I had written down, it's Robin playing chess with the Straw Hats as the pieces. Robin is shown to be the player instead of a piece as she moves the Straw Hats pieces, and it relates to how if she plays her cards right, she can be the one to get to the truth of the One Piece by, moving each player, because Robin is the only one who can find the truth, because she's the only one who can read the poneglyphs outside of, I don't know, I think maybe the Kozuki clan and potentially Vegapunk. So the quote is, "The king is a fighting piece." So at first when I looked at this, I assumed that Nami was the king piece, because she was sitting in the back, and Luffy was the queen piece because he was like, moving. But it seems like Nami is the queen and Luffy is the king, and regardless of Luffy being the king, the most important piece, he is moving forward. So I think that that kind of shows the fragility of the Straw Hat team. Like if something happens to Luffy, the Straw Hats would end up losing, right? That's kind of like the metaphor that I've assumed that they are using for this. And when you look at the pieces, it's like the king, Luffy, the most important piece, being moved to the front. That's what we're seeing here. The queen, Nami, most powerful piece, sitting in the back. Zoro and Sanji are both the knight pieces. Zoro has a black horse, Sanji has a white horse, and then we get a very prominent view of Zoro's sword, Kitetsu, in this shot. I think it's an obvious way of Oda highlighting Zoro's sword. A lot of people do think that Gandhi, who has a similar looking sword, who we'll see in this chapter, that's Venus Juro, sorry, not Gandhi. Venus Juro has a similar looking sword, and we all think that it's Zoro's, the predecessor to Zoro's sword, the more powerful version, the first version, and so that could tie him back to Wano. This could all tie him back to even the Kozuki family, if we're considering the fact that Momonosuke's grandfather was a swordsmith, right? He had it as a hobby, so this could all be linked together, and this could be Oda's subtle way of showing this sword and this Gorosei member with his own sword. Now, we don't know if his sword is a black sword, and we don't know what this means, but I feel like showing this sword so prominently, and then, because based on Zoro's swords, Kitetsu is the one that we kind of don't get the most information out of. I think that for the most part, Kitetsu is like, we get a lot of Enma stuff, especially recently. And we know a lot about Wado Ichimonji, especially how important that is to Zoro. So Kitetsu is basically Zoro's last sword that we don't have information on, and I'm still of the idea that Zoro is going to go back to Wano and get a new sword to replace his Kitetsu, and it will be that Nidai that that was left behind. So yes. The rooks were Frankie and Jinbei. Jinbei sits on top of the castle, while Frankie is a castle. So I think that is more to show that Frankie is just like, he's part person and he's also part, he can be part of anything. He can be a building, he can be a ship. That just gives more that Frankie becomes the Sunny. And even in this chapter, one of the people from the island that say that Frankie's a ship now. So I think that that's hilarious. And that maybe Frankie can become Pluton. Like maybe if he memorized the plans, maybe he has already started becoming Pluton. So we don't know. And we do know that Frankie has incredible battle power. And his lasers in particular have been getting gassed up to hell in this arc. And we see Jinbei being lazy on a castle. I think that, like, just lazy Jinbei, he deserves it. He's worked hard. The bishops are Usopp and Brook. Usopp is supporting the team from a supportive position. I love that. Brook is drinking his tea with Jinbei. I just love to see Usopp in more brave roles. Usopp always, has that thing ready. And we've gotten a lot of gas for Von Augur in this arc too. So we got to have Usopp, get up there, and I'm Soge Kami. I gotta see Usopp up there. That's just the way I see it. And then all the pawns are Chopper. Now, I think it was the Gorosei that said something like humans multiply like insects, and Chopper has a human fruit, and we see him almost multiplying in this. So I don't know if this is a hint at a possible power that humans have, the power to multiply, the power to come together. That was just something that came to my mind when I was looking at that. Like, I was thinking, damn, wouldn't it be cool if Chopper could, like, come up with a bunch of people? Because he always needs assistance, right? So imagine if, like, you have a team of doctors and they're all Chopper, they're all knowledgeable, right? He can assist a bunch of people. I think that'd be a cool power for Chopper to have, and something that humans can do in a sort of way. So I would love to see that happen for him. Now we see a cool shot of, as the chapter goes on, I'm just going to go talk about the things that I like. There's a big shot of Vegapunk's brain. It's like a panel of Vegapunk's brain, and usually in these like brain shots in movies and stuff like that, it's like literally just the brain in the tube. But I like that this was literally Vegapunk's whole head, so it's not even just like a shot of his brain, it's his whole head that's in there. And so it's a little different, like the One Piece version of something that happened. Instead of like a small tube with like a brain in it, it's huge, right? Let's see. Vegapunk says later on, this footage will reach the entire world. I take pride in that connection. Vegapunk is achieving his dream and sharing knowledge with the world in one small way. Because remember, Vegapunk talked about how he wanted to, how there's energy flowing around everywhere, and that we just can't see it or like touch it, but it's all around us. And he wants to use that energy, and he wants to share that energy with the world, and he wants to create a neural network that people can put information in, take information out, whatever. So this is kind of a way that Vegapunk is doing that, by sharing this message. He's sharing it with the whole world globally. Unfortunately, they can't share information back to him, so it's not fully the way he'd want it to be. He'd want it to be go both ways, people putting in their own input and people taking input from him, or from each other, not even just him. But he still takes pride in that connection, because I think he realizes that it's one small way. And he does talk about the fact that if people are listening to this message, that means he has died. At the same time, he doesn't want anyone to blame anyone for his death. So to me, that comes across as he doesn't want anyone to overthink about who killed him and why they killed him, and to come to your own conclusions about the information that he's about to tell. He's not going to tell you to go listen to him and go after these people. It's not about that, and there's a big chance that Luffy gets blamed for these. So in a way, he is protecting Luffy, but at the same time, if you're a Marine and you know exactly what really happened, especially if you were there, and you hear people blaming Luffy, and you know that it was Luffy who was defending him, that I feel like that would be a way that and that Vegapunk wasn't telling people to think about the fact that it was like not to blame the person who blamed me, and you hear people blaming Luffy, and because you were there that Luffy wasn't the one who did it. That would cause you to feel a certain way about the fact that your government is going along with something like this, and spreading that as misinformation to the people, especially if you are a civilian or you roll with civilians. It'd be hard to justify, at least the way I see it, it'd be hard to justify that kind of behavior coming from your government when you guys think you're supposed to be the ones who are doing right. And this person who's so, I would say, honorable is like putting out all this information that you guys are trying to hide. And I think this could be a key moment for the Marines as to what they'll do. Like, how will somebody like Akainu react to this information? I feel like Akainu will still steadfast, but like, what about someone like Fujitora? Fujitora is somebody who people don't know if he'll defect or not, and I feel like this will have a big effect on Fujitora, the way Fujitora thinks about the world government, the way Kobe would think about the world government, the way Garp. All this information is important. So Vegapunk talks about his 2 grave sins. So to me, the 2 grave sins feel pretty obvious. The first one would be create weapons for the world government, the Mother Flame in particular, and the Seraphim and the Pacifista. I think that is his first grave sin. And the second one is he looked into the Ohara incident. And we know that from, I think it was 1078, Vegapunk was saying that, or I guess the Gorosei were saying that they've confirmed that he is kind of been looking into the Ohara incident, and that's why they're going to kill him. And so I think that was his second grave sin. And even in this chapter, they talk about like, oh, he's going to finish the job of Ohara, and that's a big deal for the Gorosei, because they do not want that information to go out. That's why they killed Clover. So Vegapunk sets a decoy for Mars to find, and then Mars is like, after he realizes that he did not take out Vegapunk's transmission, that's not a way to do it. He's going berserk, kind of trying to like look for it, and all the Gorosei members are kind of like, oh shoot, we thought we had it, now we have to run, we have to get this information because he's already started talking. So as the Gorosei scramble, we see a shot of Clover getting shot. We can assume Vegapunk wants to say the name of the ancient kingdom, and so that would be finishing what Ohara started, like getting confirmation on the name of the ancient kingdom, unless Vegapunk already knows it. But it's possible that Clover didn't have that right. Like, if he comes to the same conclusion Clover came to, it's still possible that conclusion wasn't right. It could have been close, but not exactly right. The same way that, we thought it was Raftel, for a long time, but it was actually Laugh-Tail. You know what I mean? So Sanji is carrying around a dead body, and then he realizes that Bonnie is getting attacked, and so Sanji I don't understand why Sanji is still carrying around this dead body, but obviously Vegapunk's body is going to be important. I know he could have, since he's dead already, he should have just placed it down, but it's kind of burdening him. But he goes to save Bonnie. He takes a kick at Venus, and then Venus, the horse part of Venus, actually bites onto Sanji, and Venus gets held down by Oimo and Kashi, and lastly, Bonnie turns into a giant to step on Venus. I think all of this will be important, to say the least. At least the fact that Bonnie turned giant, and I want to see how much damage she ends up doing to Venus. All the Gorosei seem to be really powerful, and have a lot of defense. So I'm curious as to how this is going to affect them, and if Luffy can't take out one of these things very easily, one of the Gorosei members, and I don't know what Bonnie can do. So Vegapunk announces that if you're listening to this message, he's already dead. Both Caesar and Morgans have selfish reaction to this news. Caesar and Judge are in the shot, and they are shocked, and they wanted to become stronger than Vegapunk. We learned that smarter than Vegapunk and have better creation than Vegapunk, but they wanted Vegapunk to see that. They had a selfish desire. We learned that through the cover page. And then we see Big News Morgan, and this is a huge scoop. So Big News Morgans would have loved to be the person who put that out there, that Vegapunk is dead, and so he feels like Vegapunk is taking his job. And this really reminded me of just the idea, video killed the radio, and radio killed the newspaper, right? So just the way that we get our news is evolving, and so Big News Morgan just needs to find a way to evolve with the time. Maybe after this Big News Morgans, I can see him doing a transponder snail show, showing people things live as they happen, instead of people finding out the next day or stuff like that. Let's see. Saturn approaches the Straw Hat ship. He climbs up the clouds, and he sees Robin and he makes a quick comment about Akainu. Basically says that, oh, Akainu let you live. And he goes to kill Robin. And as the Straw Hats realize that he's going after Robin, all the Straw Hats come together to protect Robin. It's a 6 shot. And basically after that, all the Straw Hats are like, we must protect Robin. Robin is looking at this situation like, oh shoot, this is the guy who was like on the phone. Now Robin knows that the Gorsei members were here. She sees it first in hand for herself. A lot of people might not know exactly who the Gorsei members are, but like Robin knows for sure now, and she sees them. And I think this all kind of ties back to like Saturn was the one who spoke to what's his name? Saturn was the one who spoke to Kuma. And Saturn was the one who spoke to Clover, and now Saturn and Robin have this relationship. So I wonder if Robin and Saturn will have another meetup later at this point, because, Saturn was the one who was talking to Clover. The Gorsei don't want to destroy the power station because they need the Mother Flame. Now, I think this is a super important part, just because they almost don't have an option. They can kill the power for everything on Egghead, but then they can't make any more of the Mother Flame, so they can't activate their device. So it's like kind of like a decision time. What are we going to do? What's more important, like keeping the news out or being able to destroy planets and recreate the Mother Flame? Now, if they destroy the power station, York is not going to have a purpose. So York doesn't want that to happen either. And so I think to keep York in the story, they're going to have to keep the power station around. But anything can change. And then the last part of this freaking chapter is Vegapunk announcing that the world is going to sink. So this world sinking event is something I feel like a lot of people were thinking about. We've all heard videos of this week, people talking about the world sinking, where that came from. We've had ideas since Water 7, basically that, the tidal waves and whatever, and the freaking water that shoots people up to Skypiea. And I've seen people talk about basically when we look into the flashback of Nolan, the water level was lower, and then by the time we get to the flashback of in reality of the same location, we see how high the water level is. So Oda's really been sprinkling this idea of the water levels rising. So is it really the islands are going to sink, or is it the waters are going to rise above the islands? And even in recently, with the activation of the weapon, we've seen that the water levels rise as well, right? We've seen that there are places all over the world that are having hurricanes, earthquakes, all that kind of stuff based on these water levels rising. And even the aftershock of the earthquakes are going out, and they're just being hit now, right? Because the earthquake is traveling. So I think that this is like a huge, big event. So yeah, I think I had a couple more ideas about what the world sinking into the ocean really means. I think that by the end of it, the people are going to have to end up using Noah's Ark to float. And, and I think that especially seeing the fishmen are going to have to make a decision about what they're going to do, how they're going to help, right? They were already given the Noah, so they know what their plan basically is. They have to overlook all of the things that the humans have done to them to basically give them this ark and let them give them a safety. I don't know, if the world sinks into the ocean and people are on the ark, does that mean that the Straw Hats are going to have to find a way to basically remove that water to let the people are going to be on the ark, but they can't just live on the ark, right? So they're going to have to find a way to remove that water so that the people can go back to their houses and rebuild. What does that mean for the future of the story? I think these are the questions that are rolling around in my head right now. And we're just going to have to kind of wait and see. There was no Zoro in this chapter. I'm really, really worried that Zoro's about to get lost. I feel like every time when we don't see Zoro in a chapter and he's out and about, there's like a high probability he's about to get lost. I'd love to see Zoro end up at like the Mother Flame, where the Mother Flame is. And I feel like that would kind of link up to Zoro noticing like one of the Gorsei members, Mars maybe, and you know there's this thing going around with Zoro versus Mars and Sanji versus Venus Juro. I think that having Zoro clash with Mars would be the perfect way, because I feel like in a lot of arcs we see Zoro clash with one character and then get kind of beat up by another character, you know, like he clashed with one character to show its superiority and then beat up by another character to show their superiority. So I would love to see Zoro clash with Mars in some ways, or at least see one of the Gorsei members and he could be like, this is like hell, you know, something like that. I assume Jinbei's gonna make his way back and he's not gonna get lost, and we just need to see more stuff, really. This chapter was pretty good. I think the end of the chapter was great. I love seeing all the characters from the past, kind of showing you where we came from, where everybody is now. Like seeing Kaya was great in this chapter. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about 1113. And like I said, if you made it this far in this video, please subscribe. Let me know you're alive in the comments down below. And I'll be dropping another video shortly after this one, so hopefully I can get this one out quick, easy peasy lemon squeezy, and then we can talk about 1114 in like an hour from now. So thank you very much and take care. Soge Kami out.